Good evening. I would like to call to order the Kaiser City Council. It is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. That is 2022 for all those who are into tutus today. And ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Herrera.
Here.
Councilor Reed.
Here.
Councilor Kohler.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Smith.
She is excused.
Councilor Starr.
Here.
Councilor Duran.
Here.
And Youth Councilor Coleman.
Here. Thank you all very much. If you are able, I invite you to rise and please all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all very much. On this very, very chilly winter evening, in case anybody was fooled by the sunshine a few days ago, winter just reminded us it's still cold. Make sure all of those hose bibs and everything are covered up. It's already very chilly outside. Okay, let me get to my agenda, which is right here. Tonight we are going to start off with committee reports. We'll start off with the Volunteer Coordinating Committee recommendation for Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee appointment. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, I thought I had really solved this issue with the agenda by writing my name next to the things that I needed to introduce, and somehow I missed that one. It happened to be the very first one. As the cover memo says to the council, the Volunteer Coordinating Committee met on February 10th, reviewed applicants, interviewed candidates, and they are recommending Tammy Saldivar for position 4.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report or recommendation? Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that, sorry, I am not where I should be on this. Okay, I move that we accept the Volunteer Coordinating Committee's recommendation to appoint Tammy Saldivar for the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council accept the recommendation of the Volunteer Coordinating Committee and appoint Tammy Saldivar to position 4 on the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously, 1 absent. We now have 3 committee reports. I'm going to start off with Mike Pantalone with the Parks report. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. How are we doing?
Well, thank you.
So, I'm going to have a little cheat sheet here. We met on the, was that last Tuesday? I actually lose my dates. So anyway, when we met, started out with the appearance of interested citizens. Carol Holman started out from the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, thanking the board for keeping Palmacia in the Parks Master Plan and asking for us to work toward making the park more usable. She stated the neighbors have indicated they would like to help clean up limbs, debris, and clutter. There's regular mowing be scheduled and requested a viewing bench and trash receptacle. It seems like we had a discussion about the need to clarify with the Army Corps of Engineers what things are allowed to be done around the levee. There is some question about, making sure that the levee stays strong in that area due to erosion concerns. Carol Phipps came up next and reported of the pathway behind Wallace House Park being eroded on one side with a substantial drop-off and request backfill and a white line be painted on the asphalt. Mr. Johnson did inform her the crews had been working in the area and trying to resolve the issue. Fill will be brought in and alternatives to paint will be explored. We did a parks reports afterwards. I looked at Palmacia. Actually, the view is really nice from up on top of the levee. There's a really good view to the river. There is some debris, but the trail actually went down pretty well to the river, a little bit wet. Sunset looks beautiful every time I go out there. I usually go out in the afternoons. The benches are still up and kind of chained to the tree up near the top until the risk of flooding is done, but it's always just a beautiful view up there. There were some gopher holes. I let Robert know about it, and he said that he'd take care of that. Clay Rushton looked at Bear. He said it's looking good. He looked at Mike Whittam. And other than the shopping cart in the park, there was no problem. Robert said that they'd take care of that. Matt Lawyer looked at Wallace House, and he said that it was actually cleaned up by a group of young people recently. Chalmers Jones is being used quite a bit in the evenings, including headlights from cars, I guess, so the kids can continue to skate in the evenings. And then all the members looked at Keizer Rapids. The pathways were clear. There were some branches down, but they were not on the pathways. The park is well used in the nice weather. Porta potty at the Boat Inn campsite was very clean. The Disc Golf Club has a final cleanup coming up and will complete removal of concrete bases. Boat dock will remain out of the water until at least April after snowmelt runoff to keep from damaging the pier pylons. And there's many kids at the Big Toy on nice days. There was an issue with, it seems to me, with graffiti problems in the restrooms up around the Big Toy area. And it seems like some damage being done with moving around the boulders and things like that. And I think Robert talked about that on his report out, which was next. Robert reported out next, and after master plan was adopted, after master plan is adopted, which sounds like happened with the council, staff will focus on improvements, small ones in the budget cycle, large ones will be in a 3 to 5 year plan. He reminded us that there's $12,500 left in the matching grant program. Anyone with a project is urged to apply. The Arts Commission will be requesting a grant for plans for a mosaic for the splash fountain at the March meeting. Money has to be spent by June 30th. So just, if you guys know anybody, please pass that on. I know sometimes there's scouts that are looking to do projects also. Over 30 trees have been planted with 27 more coming. Something that's exciting for me is 10 new trees have been ordered for Country Glen. There'll be 2 different varieties of maple. So they'll be planted with alternating fall colors. Counselor, I understand you'd be excited about that, living on that street, and I'm just a block over, so I'm really happy to hear that. It's been kind of barren there. It's the treeless park right now, you know. We continue to have problems with, we already talked about that, with the vandalism in the Kaiser Rapids Park, with the fire setting, moving landscape boulders, and the graffiti around the bathroom. Counselor Starr reported out. She did report on the master plan was approved, asked everyone to assist with the Community Diversity Engagement Committee and finding ways to engage the community and connect with the different populations in the community. It's kind of everybody's responsibility to take care of that. Other business, which we call Matt's Minute. Matt announced the Civic Center cleanup and Soggy Day in the Parks events coming up. Shared details of last year's events and thanked Lauren Sanitation for their participation. And the meeting was adjourned at 6:33. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions or anything?
Not so much for you, but you did bring it up, so I'm going to look at the chief and at Public Works. Bill's not here tonight, but they're very aware of the vandalism both at Kaiser Rapids Park, but also significant reports from Kaiser Little League Park. And I've got some pictures that Mickey Walker did send me from there of some pretty significant damage that's been done to that park. So he wants to meet and figure out what some alternatives or what we can do. I'm not sure there's a whole lot, but the vandalism in those 2 parks is very significant, as I understand it.
I wonder, in this day and age of trail cams, would it be possible to do something like that? I know running cameras continually is maybe not the way to go, but maybe something that at least can get some snapshots of somebody doing something might be, so we're not storing a lot of video. Mm-hmm. Just a thought.
Chief?
Yeah, I replied to that email just about 10 minutes ago. I don't know if you've read it yet, or
No.
to Mickey Walker talking about the damage over at Kaiser Little League. And I mentioned the damage at Kaiser Rapids. And unfortunately, there isn't a law enforcement solution to this. Even if we catch the bad guys, it doesn't solve the next bad guys from coming along doing the same thing.
True.
So maybe we can put our heads together and figure out some security measures.
Yeah. The pictures from Little League Park were absolutely disheartening to see what some people have done over there. So much work has been done to get it ready for the spring season. It was looking fabulous, and then some individuals made the choice to go in there and do some pretty significant damage. The other thing I did remind him with Little League Park is that if people try to camp there, to call the police immediately, and that can be taken care of, because that is not a campground under any circumstances. So he wasn't aware of what the alternatives were. And the same for all of our parks. If anybody views somebody trying to use that for camping, we don't allow camping in any of our parks except the Boat Inn campground down at Kaiser Rapids.
Right,
That's it.
great.
I'll make this be quiet. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Reed has a question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm just wondering if you have heard anything yet or know of in any of the plans to approve the concerts for the summer concert series?
I have not heard anything at all about the concerts. I know that we had a list that came through, a long list of bands. Other than that, I have not heard a specific list of bands that are going to be playing for the summer.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Sorry.
No, you're all
Thank
good.
you.
All right, next up is Jamie Davis with Traffic Safety Bike Ped.
Thank you, Mayor. I am the chair for the Traffic, Bikeways, and Pedestrians Committee now, and will chair my first committee next month. I had to skip out for last month, but I did get the notes and wanted to give you guys a bit of an update. We were advised that Bill Lawyer is working on a Safe Routes to School application. I want to get a little bit more in with him, so I hope to actually meet with him in the next 30 days to gather a little bit more information and see if we can help him with that. A second thing that we have come up with is Sergeant Leday took some time to research out the 5 most traffic areas for us and came up with 3 areas that we are thinking that maybe like a flashing LED light. We hope to bring a memo to council next month that will show Dearborn, McLeod, and Shoreline are the 3 areas that we have identified that probably would be of the top 5 that he brought to us. That would be good start. Cost is about $1,000 per, I might be wrong on that. Let's wait for the memo on that, just because I need the committee to help me bring all of that stuff together. But his suggestion really has gotten a little bit of momentum from our committee to be able to present something to council to move forward with this, or maybe have Bill Lawyer work with us on that. Other than that, we want to also, I've restructuring a little bit of our committee and asking them to go to the neighborhood associations at least once a quarter, or at least get the minutes so that we can get that information and absorb that and really come to council with a list of areas that are really being reported as needing attention. And the last one we just went to, Chief Teague was actually there and had a presentation. Didn't get to stay the whole time, but I did get to hear his perspective on the Cummings Lane area for the, what association? West Kaiser's Association. So that's what we hope to do, is bring this to you, and you'll see more interaction from the Safe Traffic, Bikeways, and Pedestrians Committee.
I know that doesn't have a nice acronym, it doesn't really roll off the tongue, but once you get into the rhythm, Traffic Safety Bike Ped, you can kind of get the flow. No, but thank you. I'm excited for this. Chief, I know you had some, on the Cummings Lane area in particular, you had some conversations, at least preliminarily. And hopefully we can have some follow-up conversation about ways to continue to make that safe, given the constraints of that space. And hopefully the Traffic Safety Bike Ped and the West Kaiser can really help with some outreach along there. That's been a very difficult space, especially with the turnover in some of the residents there and not knowing the history and the limitations we have on Cummings Lane. So, did you have anything you want to follow up on that? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's got to open up a can of worms, I'm afraid. But yeah, well, we had a lot of thought, both at the meeting and before, and of course, up on the dais as well over all the months and years. And we kind of had a meeting of the minds. What I told West Kaiser Neighborhood Association is that I would endorse putting a speed table at the crosswalk on Cummings at the intersection with the light. There's already a crosswalk there across Cummings, right at that intersection. A speed table is a wide speed bump, and it accents both the crosswalk, and it does slow down speeds. It would slow down speeds on Cummings. I worked Cummings for years. I know that a lot of that speed starts before where that speed table would be. It definitely slow down speeds. One of the cautions about speed bumps, speed tables, speed humps is that you get the acceleration, deceleration that drives the neighbors crazy, but they already have that there at that intersection with the light, so that problem is probably moot. So that's one, and the other was at the intersection of Shoreline and Dearborn. There are already stop signs on the Dearborn side. They were suggesting if we add stop signs along the Shoreline side, that would probably slow some of that traffic on Shoreline, and it makes sense to me. And like I said, I told them that I would support that, but I have zero leverage with Public Works while it goes forward. Anyway, so those are my comments.
It sounds like those would be concepts that would be well worth taking forward to what would that take and so forth. So continue that conversation, because this is something West Kaiser in particular has been trying to address for years, and some simple things that are workable, I think, give us an opportunity to take some steps in some problem solving. And I know you don't want to quote the price and everything, but I seem to recall Bill Lawyer also said that what you're suggesting is also very cost reasonable.
Okay.
So definitely look forward to seeing that come back. Mr. Lawyer is on vacation, but follow up when he gets back.
Okay.
With that.
Thank you so much.
And I want to let you know, I'm going to try to remember to keep on forwarding the minutes from the Salem Kaiser Area Transportation Study, our local metropolitan planning organization. So traffic safety, and Council President Smith also, she's now my alternate, so she gets those as well. So we can keep you all informed about what's already in the works. Yeah. For, exactly. So that way, you know what's coming regionally, and then we can be more strategic with the committee's time on what we can do to continue to advance projects that are helpful to our entire community. So I'm excited for that.
No, I'm excited for that. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Councilor Herrera?
I will mention that what the Chief said, because I attended the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, and after that, I actually drove to Dearborn and Shoreline, that is something that should happen, especially because that neighborhood's where they all walk dogs, and that's very friendly for walking. And I think it's something that, of course, I support the one by Delight, but it seems to me like the other one would be easier to get that done, in my opinion. And I also wanted to, now that Jamie's here, I also wanted to, I don't know if you guys know this, but with the League of Oregon Cities, she is the financial officer, and she does a wonderful job. And so I just want you guys to know that, in case you didn't know that. And she dances really good too.
Thank you.
All right. And batting cleanup would be Mo Avisham talking about the Planning Commission. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. I'm Mo Avishan, and one of the new members of the Planning Commission. I'm going to have a very short report out. We're working with the planning team right now, focusing on the House Bill 2001 and Senate Bill 458. And we're reviewing all the amendments, changes required for the middle housing as a result of those two bills. And it's going quite well and slated to be completed by July. So that's really what we're working on. That's about it.
It sounds like a short list, but that's a huge lift. It's very comprehensive, and
It is very comprehensive, yes.
yeah.
But the team is doing well, and we're going through the reviews, and hopefully we'll be done by then.
Yeah, and we're hoping to have our first public hearing at Planning Commission in April.
Okay,
So
Right.
it's coming right up. So,
rock and roll. Okay. Any questions? Well, thank you so much for your work on that, and glad to have you aboard for the Planning Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes committee reports, unless I missed somebody. Okay, I did not. Public comment, this time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have 2 public hearings scheduled this evening. The first is the 2022 Kaiser liquor license renewal recommendation. The second is a resolution authorization for supplemental budget American Rescue Plan Act Fund. So if you're here for one of those, stay tuned. We do have, before we get into the public comment, we do have some emails for written comment. Thank you, Tracy. And these are all from Mr. Charles Anderson, a resident of Kaiser over by McNary High School, and he sent a series of emails on February 8 and 9 regarding his observations of activities around the high schools, what he believes are high school students in his neighborhood. So we did have a follow-up conversation, Mr. Hare, Chief Teague, and Mr. Johnson and I about what are some options, and we were going to follow up with some comments regarding possibly making some improvements around that on the city side. Again, we have the city property and we have the school property under 2 different jurisdictions, but there are things that we might be able to do to make it less attractive and look less inviting for vagrancy. The other was, and Chief, I don't know if you were able to follow up with Mr. Jesperson about asking about students to assist with litter patrol in that area. Was that your thing, or was that, I supposed to do that?
Yeah, I didn't think I was tasked with that, but I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I know a certain youth counselor that might also be very helpful with that when it comes to. For sure. Okay. So I think if Chief and Youth Counselor Coleman could have a conversation about youth involvement with that area outside the gate.
So might I tell her what we're talking about?
Yes, please.
In the public too. So before the COVID shut everything down, there were students that were doing some litter patrol over there around MacArthur. Okay. And we're just talking about gearing that back up, trying to save the neighborhood because you've got some good civic-minded students that might help do that. So I'll call the principal about that and maybe you can tap him too.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds awesome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And right outside the west gate, yeah. And then one thing that they did notice, though, that prior to all the remodeling and so forth, there were people parking there, students parking there and so forth. The parking that they put in McNary in the remodel and so forth has been very successful in providing parking spaces for students as well as staff, and also the traffic design is orders of magnitude better. Any parent that ever tried to navigate that, mishmash of traffic in and out from McNary from the 2 sides, it's a whole new game there, and it's way, way better for everybody. But we'll definitely address things from our side of the fence and encourage the cooperation with students to be out there as well to keep the neighborhood and build relationships. Positive relationships with the neighbors. Okay? So I got that. All right, so that was all I had for written comment, and I don't have anybody signed up that I know of for public comment, so the microphone is open. If there is anyone who would like to address the council this evening on any other city-related matters. Okay, we will then go on to public hearings. And the first one, I'm going to open a public hearing for the 2022 Kaiser liquor license renewal recommendation. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you can see from the memo in the council packet, we've had no negative comments about any of the proposed renewals, either from the public or from the police department. Again, this is not a final action that the council's taking. It's simply an action that's required by OLCC. They will ultimately make the final decision on whether the licenses are renewed. And with that, I would be glad to answer any questions if I can.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report or the list that was provided in the council packet? Seeing none, I do not have anybody signed up to testify this evening regarding the liquor license renewals. Is there anyone who would like to address the council at this time? All right, seeing none. Any other information needed by council before I close the public hearing? Public hearing is now closed. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council approve the 2022 Kaiser liquor license renewal recommendation and forward it to the Oregon Liquor Control Commission.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council recommend renewal of the liquor licenses listed and forward the recommendation to the Oregon Liquor Control Commission. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with one absent. All right, this will take us then to item 7B, which is resolution authorization for supplemental budget, American Rescue Plan Act Fund. The public hearing is now open, and we will go to Mr. Harwood, and I believe we're going to Mr. Wood, correct?
Yes,
We are
Madam Mayor,
trying
thank you.
something new tonight.
Well, you may recall that we, at the last council meeting, that our finance director had requested that this item be brought before the council for use of the American Rescue Plan funds. And so he is prepared. Well, actually, I can see him, although I don't know that he can see me.
He can see you, and he can talk to you, and you can talk back to him.
Oh, it's remarkable. And he looks really good. The camera's probably better pointed at him than it is at me, so I'll turn it over to our finance director, Tim Wood.
All right, thank you very much.
Good
Mr.
evening,
Wood.
Madam Mayor, City Council. Thank you for this opportunity. As you recall, there was a new regulation that came into play this year that requires cities to be able to provide opportunities for the public to testify remotely. So we've moved one step forward on that by adding in a Zoom feature to our city council meetings. I do want to thank John Strow, Philip Wade, and Bill Hopkins. They've been working hard on getting this up and running for us. So this is one way that we can have folks from the community chime into the public comment time during our regular city council meetings. I'm going to go ahead and take this time to move on to my staff report. As you'll recall from our last meeting, I made a request to bring back a supplemental budget. My request is to recognize and appropriate approximately $400,000 in additional resources in the ARPA fund, and that's the American Rescue Plan Act fund. These funds will be used to replace the Reitz well. That's the well that's up by Bear Park. We've had issues with this well since it was first installed. Unfortunately, it is sucking up more sand than it is water. So we would like to redo this entire well. This will add about 400 to 500 gallons per minute of reliable water production into the water system in the North Kaiser area. So with that, the request is for $400,000 within the ARPA fund. And if you have any questions, I'd be free to address those. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report? And thank you, Mr. Wood, for being our guinea pig for this new process, and glad to see it working well, but it doesn't surprise me because I know that you all take the time to do it right. Okay, I don't have anybody signed up to testify for this public hearing regarding the supplemental budget. Is there anyone here who would like to address the council on this matter? Okay. Hearing none. Council, any additional information needed before I close the public hearing? Okay, hearing none. The public hearing is now closed. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt a resolution R 2022, authorization for supplemental budget, American Rescue Plan Act Fund.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt Resolution R 2022, authorization for supplemental budget, American Rescue Plan Act Fund. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously with one absent. That concludes our public hearings for this evening and takes us to administrative action. Item 8A is an ordinance establishing stormwater discharge control regulations, repeal of ordinance number 2009-585, declaring an emergency. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our city attorney, Shannon Johnson, has the staff report on this issue.
Thank you, Wes, Madam Mayor, and Council. As you can see, we have a new ordinance to replace the old 2009 ordinance, what we call the Stormwater Elicit Discharge Ordinance. My apologies on the briefness of the staff report. Things were a little topsy-turvy last week at the packet deadline, but I did manage to get help from somebody who knew what they were talking about instead of me, from Calais Westerman in our environmental section, who got this to you. I hope you got it. It should be on your dais and for the public. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll touch the high points, some of the main changes. Car washing, individual residential car washing is still allowed. You can still wash your car in the driveway, but only in the driveway, not in the right-of-way. Charity car washes are allowed, but they will have what's called a car wash kit, which the city is going to purchase. And these kits are kind of cool. They would fit over the storm drain by where the charity car wash is going and seal that and pump the dirty soapy water to a landscape area. So to avoid that discharge into a storm drain.
Perfect.
So technically, charity car washes are not allowed if they dump into the storm drain system, but they will be allowed with this kit. We talked internally about trying to do some sort of permit system, and I said, that's not really the Kaiser way. If we can avoid it, plus it's a lot of administrative hassle, let's do an educational outreach. And so they're set to do some educational outreach to folks. If you know of any organizations that will do that, we'll be, it doesn't seem like it right now, but spring and summer isn't too far away. So we can look at getting the word out on that issue. Dechlorinated pool water, a little item. We don't have a lot of pools around, but dechlorinated pool water has been a problem because there's no way to really test that. And so that's not allowed discharge. They can arrange for that, is my understanding, through, again, a non-stormwater kind of disposition of that water. The violations section has, I wouldn't call it increased. Right now, it's $500 a day maximum, but it's wide open as to what the actual amount will be. After some discussion internally, we set the minimum at $250 up to $500, I believe. And DEQ is requiring that ratcheted kind of approach to enforcement, starting lower, with an emphasis on whether or not it was hazardous substances and whether or not the discharge was intentional or not. So you can see that towards the back of the ordinance in the violations section. And with that, I'm not going to try to read through all the rest of them, but she did, and I really appreciate the help on that. Kelly did a good job of laying those things out, and I hope you had a chance to read that. Again, my apologies on not getting you more details on it. So the state would like us to go ahead and adopt something. That's the requirement of our NPDES permit. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My understanding is that in order to satisfy the requirements of the state, we need to adopt this tonight.
Yes, that's right. And I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the items that I forgot to write down, Councilor Kohler. If you folks have some issues with this and want to look at that further, my recommendation is to adopt the ordinance and we can come back and revise it. We will be working and not just because of this, but for other reasons too, on an updated civil infraction ordinance too, to make it a little more streamlined. But if you have some issues with it, that's my preference. If you don't have any major concerns on it, is to go ahead and adopt it tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Starr.
I just want to thank you and staff for being proactive in addressing the charity car wash and figuring out solutions around that and ways to keep
I
the
can't take any
Kaiser
credit.
way, so thank you.
I'll pass that credit on. I cannot take any credit for that though, so I'll pass that on to the environmental folks.
Thank you.
Because they are an incredible team. We really are, we've done a really good job having this team that is proactive and problem solving.
Well, now that we're interrupted on the subject, a
Yes.
few weeks ago, we were trying to go out the draft again and then get interrupted and come back to it a couple weeks later, et cetera, talking to Bill Lawyer and Kerry Blaylock. And the model called for it, charity car washes except allow no soap. It's like, well, that's not really a wash, is it? And so they looked into it a little further and discovered this other kind of avenue for it with this car wash kit that I was talking about. So.
I love it. Yes. Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is there a cost for the kit?
The idea is that we will check them out for free.
I do have one question, and that's on item C, remove the dechlorinated swimming pool, hot tub, spa, et cetera. But then it says they allow only dechlorinated pool water, but we are removing that from the allowable. It says that enforcing this would pose a significant challenge to staff time and budget. Is that because we would have to distinguish between chlorinated and unchlorinated, and
Correct.
how much chlorine does it have, and did it all evaporate or not, that sort of thing. So just saying, just don't.
Yeah, that was a concept. And I do remember the other option, of course, is, and I don't remember how it works or if there's any particular process to it, is it can be drained into the regular sanitary sewer system. And I think that's an option too.
That's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water. And so I don't recall the practical options, but I don't think they're all that onerous for the few places that have these facilities. So I think there are some options for them.
Well, and maybe something for the team to come up with is something to give, because there's a lot of people who do have hot tubs in this town. You know, not so much the big swimming pools, but there's a lot of hot tubs. And you do have to drain them once in a while because finally the chemicals just can't do it anymore.
Right.
So, and that's a lot of water that generally people just run down the driveway, but we want to discourage that because it does have some residual chlorination or some other
Right.
chemicals in that. So I would suggest that we have an informational sheet online and here to be able to give hot tub owners, you know, how to appropriately change out the water without violating the stormwater ordinance. So that would
Indeed,
just be
yes,
my
and
suggestion.
I agree.
Okay. Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate that this has in it that for the first year after this is into effect, that they will spend that first year trying to educate people about what this is rather than just start fining people. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, Councilor Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt an ordinance establishing stormwater discharge control regulations, repeal of ordinance number 2009-585, declaring an emergency.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance establishing stormwater discharge control regulations, repeal of ordinance number 2009-585, declaring an emergency. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously with one absent. And that concludes our administrative action for this evening. Consent calendar, Councilor Reed, would you please read the items on tonight's consent calendar?
All right, there are two items on the consent calendar this evening. The first is a resolution authorizing the Public Works Director to apply for funding for Wheatland Road Multimodal Corridor Project, Phase 1 from Salem Kaiser Area Transportation Systems. And item B, approval of February 7th, 2022 regular session minutes.
Thank you. Does anybody want one of these pulled for discussion? Okay, Councilor Reed.
I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt the consent, approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you. The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously with one absent. Other business, this time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. Does anyone on city council have other business that they want to raise at this time? Staff members, any other business that we need to address this evening that was not on the agenda?
I'm not aware of anything, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Staff updates. Mr. Hare.
Just a reminder that I will be gone beginning this Thursday through the following Thursday. I should be back. And just to let the council know, I'm not expecting any kind of a bonus because I'm taking my vacation with our Public Works Director. We'll both be in the same location in Hawaii, just.
Not the same,
Pardon?
You're not, okay.
Same island, but different hotels. So,
Aloha.
yeah.
We'll try to bring back some warmth to go with the sunshine or something. Ms. Davis.
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Wood, welcome back in person.
Nothing here either, thank you.
He was in.
Thank you. Chief?
Thank you.
Mr. Witham?
Just one quick little update. I had a meeting here a week or so ago with representatives from the COG and Salem and Marion County. We as a urban area, we are required by some of the new legislation coming out to do some scenario planning in the near future. And one of the pieces that's anticipated is that we as a city will have to designate what's called a climate-friendly area, or a number of climate-friendly areas, depending on how that all works out. But the good news is there is some funding available through the state, through Department of Land Conservation and Development. So we had a meeting with those folks, and I'm kind of excited. It looks like the COG hopefully is going to be kind of the coordinating body to work with the different jurisdictions as we go through that process. What I'm not excited about is it's just another one of those great tight timelines for Shane's department. It's like we have a year to get it all done. So not exactly sure how it's going to shake out, but I have a meeting this Friday, a follow-up meeting with the different players, and I know that we as a city like to collaborate with others, and I think this is a good opportunity to do that. So I will keep you posted as I know more things. But yeah, that's kind of the one thing I have that's a little bit new and fun and confusing.
Those rules haven't been adopted yet.
I know.
And they're based on an executive order, not legislation. I know that I'm killing the messenger.
I've got my soapbox under here too, but I won't get it out right now. But yes, so we'll see what happens.
All right. I just want to put it out there, especially the phenomenal work that you and our planning commission and the team did establishing the River Cherry Overlay District, which I bragged on big time last week in our meeting with DLCD at OMPOC, the Oregon Municipal Planning Organization Consortium. There's a mouthful. That we've already accomplished a great deal, that the DLCD was blissfully unaware of until I pointed it out again. I appreciate that we're working collaboratively with the Council of Governments, understanding that, some of this scenario planning is probably inevitable, depending on what the outcomes are, and I really appreciate you getting ahead of the curve. But I will let our viewing audience know that those rules have not been adopted. They are not based on legislation. They are based on an executive order that had no public input. So just putting that out there. But I think that our River Cherry Overlay District is going to provide a path forward for a lot of communities that don't have downtowns and don't fit into the narrow model that's in the rulemaking. So Kaiser's gonna lead the way again. Good job. And I'm frustrated, but that's not for you, that's for other times. Mr. Johnson? Yes. Yes?
Just-
Oh, Councilor Kohler, yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick observation. It's awful lot better to be proactive than reactive on some of these kind of things. So just thank you for all your extra work.
Yep. Very much appreciate. Mr. Johnson?
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Council member reports. Councilor Herrera, can we start with you tonight, sir?
Sure. Let's see, we had I had several things going on. This week, we had our League of Oregon Cities banquet and board meeting. And the reason I was saying that was, Jamie, because we were kind of doing our own thing. That's why I was telling you about it. I was trying to embarrass Jamie. But anyway, we had a great meeting. I'm really grateful for the grant that they gave me for the Hermiston conference, spring conference. Also, I worked with the Hinojosa group. I was in a panel with elected officials of color, and we also had a great meeting with, and I was kind of there because I was just at the beginning with the Kennedy Elementary parents group, and we're excited to be in the early stages of family neighborhood council, which is going to be great for our community and for the Kennedy community too. Let's see here. Hector de la Cruz, who used to be our interpreter here, he's now an interpreter for the legislature, and I just want to give him kudos because he assisted me on the interpreting or translating, because it was translating for the if I were a mayor. So we did all the Spanish version on that, and he's an amazing interpreter. Also, the COG, congratulations on your award for the COG meeting. I didn't make it because I had a last minute emergency with my sister, who I'm going to be her caretaker now, seems like, soon. And also, I believe Thursday is our event for retiring city manager from Salem, Mr. Powers. And I also communicate, I was in touch with some of Councilor Melendres from Ontario, and he reached out to me and some of the local groups there. Ontario's like, almost 50% Latino, and they're pretty active over there. So it was a pretty great week, pretty full. So, and I look forward to the beginning of a new administration here. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to just elaborate a little bit on Councilor Herrera's congratulations. Our own Mayor Clark received the Gwen Vanderbosch Regional Leadership Award from the Mid-Willamette Valley Councils of Governors, which is an amazing, it speaks to her amazing work with our community, largely for her work with the Homeless Alliance, but there are very few things going on regionally that you are not a part of, and you are truly amazing, and we are so blessed to have you as mayor, and we are blessed as a region to have you as well. So thank you very much for all the work you've done, and a big hooray for you.
So in case people are wondering, they're going to, the folks representing the Council of Governments are going to come March 7th to our council meeting, and I'll actually get to see the plaque that they put on the screen for the annual meeting. And what was really cool is there's two this year. So they also awarded and honored, and very rightfully so, the mayor of Woodburn, Eric Swenson, for the fantastic work he has been doing with his community and regional cooperation, particularly around COVID, but also around community engagement and economic development. So congratulations also to Mayor Eric Swenson, with whom I get to share this year. So.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
In addition, I went to the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association meeting, which has been mentioned a couple of times, and was really impressed with Chief Teague's interaction and his frankness in dealing with a lot of those questions. It was a great conversation and really speaks to how well we can have these conversations. They were not always comfortable questions or answers, and it was a really good, impressive conversation. So thank you, Chief, for orchestrating that, and really appreciate your public relations with the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association. So thank you. Also, overlapping with my work here with the city, last Friday, we had, as the districts, as all the staff in the district had, implicit bias training with Dr. Bryant Marks, and it was a really excellent presentation, interaction, which a challenge, helping us understand implicit bias and how it isn't a bad thing necessarily, it just is, but what we do with that is what is important. And it really is an important thing for us to be able to understand, both as a staff of the school district and also as we move forward with a community diversity engagement group. So some really great information. I appreciate both Dr. Marks and Superintendent Christy Perry for bringing him to help us understand this a little bit better. It is an ongoing training. You never reach a point where you are home safe with your understanding of this kind of thing, and it's just really important to be able to appreciate how we can all be better neighbors and how we can all better appreciate and respect each other. So I appreciated that. So that is really about all I have. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd like to also congratulate Mayor. That's pretty amazing. And secondly, I'd like to thank all the staff and all the people that made possible the interviews that we did this last week for our city managers. All of that was pretty amazing. The candidates represented themselves in stellar manners, and I appreciate the people that were there to apply for the position, and also for everybody that made it possible that we could have all the interviews. And just thank you, because it made things a lot easier and a lot better. I attended the Traffic Safety Bike Ped Committee meeting for Councilor Smith. May 14th at 1 p.m. The Bike Skills Fair is going to be held here at the Civic Center. So that's May 14th at 1 p.m. Bike skills. So we went over the study that Sergeant Leday provided, and that was very enlightening. Very good information. Tomorrow evening from 4:30 to 6:30 is the Kaiser Community Dinner. People sometimes say, well, is that just kind of a soup kitchen? What do we do? And if that's the way you feel about it, you need to come tomorrow night and really find out what it is, because it's an opportunity for our community to come together and meet new people who are your neighbors and find out who's there and find out what makes Kaiser so special. So tomorrow evening, 4:30 to 6:30 at St. Edward Catholic Church, be there. And March 12th here is at 9 a.m. is the Civic Center cleanup. And it's been pretty exciting. We've got at least 2 big groups that are coming, and I know Councilor Coleman has some folks coming, and we should have some people from the Junior Air Force ROTC coming. And so a lot of hands. We'll make real quick work of that on March 12th at 9 a.m. And that's what I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Starr.
Nothing at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilor Duran.
I also have nothing at this time.
All right, thank you. Youth Councilor Coleman.
Alrighty. So, Mrs. Reed tasked me with a little piece of homework in trying to find a little bit more information about other nearby schools like Salem Academy and Blanchette. So I did a little digging, and they both are coming up with some annual auctions, but unfortunately they're on the same day. So Saturday, April 23rd, so it's a little, we got a little bit of time. They are both still looking for donations for these auctions. The money goes towards improving the school and student programs, and they're currently taking donations such as an item, service, or trips, and you can do this on their website. Now to McNary. This week, McNary is having their One Acts, the 24th through the 26th at 6 p.m. They're student created and directed, which is pretty awesome. And on March 2nd and March 3rd, on the 2nd, there's a band concert at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. And then on March 3rd, there's an orchestra concert at 5 p.m. in the auditorium. And then lastly, I have another blood drive. I'm still pushing for that, still recruiting for that on March 9th at St. Edward's Catholic Church from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. You can make your appointment on the Red Cross website. And that's it for me tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Great work. Just a couple things to follow up on. Want to remind people to nominate folks for the Volunteer of the Quarter and Youth Volunteer of the Quarter. Both of those application forms are, nomination forms are on our website. And we'd love for you to rat out your neighbors for being phenomenally wonderful. So let us know what's going on so we can also know and be inspired and encouraged by the work of people, neighbors, just like you and me in our community, getting stuff done. So let's remember to celebrate one another. Speaking of celebrating one another, I have two kudos to share. This first one is from former Mayor Lori Christopher, and she writes, I am writing again to tell you how impressive Robert Johnson is. He is an excellent problem solver and has excellent follow-through. He is absolutely the best representation of a public employee I have ever worked with. I called Robert yesterday, and this is a few weeks ago, in regards to an injury that we had at the old Kaiser school when one of our senior volunteers slipped on a wet sidewalk covered in crab apples. The crab apples were from two ornamental trees that hang over a sidewalk. I contacted Robert to see if the city owned those trees or if the Kaiser Heritage Foundation owned the trees because we were going to have them removed due to safety concerns. Robert called me back within 24 hours and said that he had personally gone over there and viewed the site. And yes, he agreed those trees needed to be removed as they are a safety hazard. There are actually 3 trees, not 2. I then asked if Public Works could help with that. He said the trees were 15 feet tall and there was going to be a lot of debris. He immediately went into problem-solving mode, informed me he had already scheduled R&R Tree Service to come in the city of March. He was going to call them, ask for us to ask the tree removal task on the city of Kaiser's order, and then we would just back out the cost and charge the Heritage Foundation for the tree removal. Seriously, this is the second time that Robert has provided outstanding service on behalf of the city to the Kaiser Heritage Foundation and the old Kaiser School. He is truly an outstanding employee, and if the city has any way of recognizing these individuals, we would love to participate in it. We would love to buy him lunch or some other recognition for all the help he continues to provide for us. Just wanted you to know, Lori Christopher, our former mayor. So I'm putting that there so that can go to Robert. And I think he already got that copy, but I wanted you all to hear it because he is all that and more. This other comes from former city councilor Jackie Moyer, and she writes to me, front page of the Kaiser Times, no less. I am so proud of our people and the cooperation between so many agencies to achieve success that was obtained. It is so nice that the marijuana is no longer for sale. I cannot believe all the homes and neighborhoods that were involved. It's really nice to see all the agencies involved in making it happen. I, for one, am thankful that I never thought legalizing drugs was an answer to anything. To me, it seems crime has only gotten worse since that was done. I know that a lot has to be done to secure my home, and we take it for granted in Kaiser that we are safe. Enough of that. I just wanted you to know that our police department deserves, and this is all capitals, huge kudos for a job well done. And for those who missed it, if you didn't see it on the Kaiser Times, seriously, you should make sure you get the paper because it did a great job covering a multi-agency and a very complex operation regarding the marijuana that was not being produced legally, and great cooperation from all of our police, law enforcement agencies. The other thing I want to give all of you tonight, and I'll be giving a copy of this to Tracy Davis for the record. I told you all I was going to do a tour of Edomo USA, which is a company in West Salem that is producing shelters that were developed by Russ Monk, a local businessman with high impact technology, and they are now producing compact livables. These are temporary shelters that are being used at Church at the Park for bringing people out of homelessness and into safe shelter. These are also usable for emergencies, for quick staging of shelter. These are portable, durable, affordable. It costs less than $6,000 to produce one of these. And they are made ADA accessible. They have standard building materials. They're anti-mold. They're green. They have a metal roof for durability, and a forklift. You can put them on a truck, and you can put them where you need them to go. So I love the innovation, the partnership that this exemplifies for the Salem-Keizer area for helping bring really practical solutions to providing for shelter that works for a number of scenarios, not the least of which, and on a cold night like this, the most of which is providing really affordable and practical shelter for people that we want to help leave homelessness. So I'm going to pass these out and encourage anybody who would like to know more to get a hold of Edomo Homes Production in West Salem. Local company, locally owned and operated, local employees, and a local inventor. Did I emphasize the word local enough? Maybe not. Let me say it again. This is all local. Way to go for our community. Super proud of what's happening there. Just a couple other extra things going on. A lot of these were already mentioned, so the only thing I will add to what was already mentioned with the executive committee for the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance will be meeting on March 1st, and they will meet in our full board the next week. What's really exciting, we just did have the Homeless Alliance Summit, and that video is available on our website. Highly recommend. We got to hear from Dr. Johnny Lake on being inclusive, diversity, equitable in addressing the needs of people in our community in a comprehensive way. And then we heard from our amazing and just so powerful youth advisory board. They call themselves Backbone because in order to survive and thrive as they are, they really had to develop a backbone and a great deal of not only self-reliance, but inter-reliance, helping one another out. They are an amazing group of young people that are our advisory board for addressing the needs of youth in our community that we want to make sure not only leave homelessness, but that they bring as many of the young people who are experiencing homelessness into full, stable housing. So that's all I've got for tonight. Agenda input. Oh, I do want to update. I keep forgetting that was so last week. Things have moved so quickly. Thank you for mentioning on the city manager recruitment. It was announced that we did have fantastic 3 finalists, Mr. Tim Wood, Ms. Eileen Stein, and Mr. Adam Brown. And we are moving forward with Mr. Adam Brown, who is currently the city manager of Ontario, to hire him as our next city manager. So Prothman, our recruitment company, is doing the background. We are sending a team from Kaiser to Ontario, and that will be Councillor Shani Starr and Officer Chris Nelson from the police department will be going to Ontario for a site visit on March 3rd. I'm working with our leadership team on the contract, and that draft will be sent to Mr. Brown this week. We have had some first conversations, and we are looking to hopefully bring that contract to the City Council for your review and approval on March 7th. And hopefully all continues to go well. We will have a start date set shortly thereafter. So I wanted to bring you all up to speed on that. Agenda input, any questions? Okay, agenda input, March 7th, we will meet at 7 p.m. in regular session. March 14th at 6 p.m. we will meet as the Long Range Planning Task Force, that is the entire Budget Committee members. And then on March 21st, 7 p.m. we will meet in regular session. Counselor Reed?
So I had on the 28th that we were having a a session on council rules and procedures. Is that not happening?
Not at this time. I think we put that as a placeholder. We all got our input to Mr. Johnson for changes that we wanted to do, and none of it rose to the level that I got for a full-blown work session. If there is an issue that we do need to discuss, we can schedule that at that point.
Okay.
But I didn't get from any of you, and Mr. Johnson, did you get any input that would necessitate
Madam Mayor?
a work session?
No, I think we can do it in a regular session.
Okay.
It probably, well, I don't know what for sure. It won't be March 7, and maybe March 21, I'm not sure.
Okay,
But I don't think we need a work session for it. I don't think there's enough changes to warrant having that.
okay. I know I sent a couple to you, and, but they were minor. So not the wholesale work that the work team did, that you guys did. So if we find out differently, then we will schedule a work session and do that. Okay? Are we
Thank
good
you.
for that?
Yep,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? All right. The time is now 8:07, and we are adjourned.